Hey now, welcome to the Dirty Side of the Track, America's leading Formula One podcast. I'm Brian, that's Rob. We're still on holiday. We're happy you're with us, though, for another DRS episode. How are you, Rob?
I'm good. By this time, if I do a pit lane pull thing, by the time this goes out, I will have already eaten too much over Christmas, probably drunk too much as well, and my liver will be tapping out saying, please no. But then New Year's Eve is going to be coming as well. So, uh, hmm. So, oh yeah, see, it's confusing listening to when Paul does it. When you try and do it yourself, it's almost impossible. So I'm not even going to bother. Um, last time on the Dirty Side Revisited series, DRS. We listened to the Mansell episode again, which was fantastic. I've gone a little bit further back. So your pick was season 2, episode 5. That was the Mansell Vale's Tale. I've gone back to season 1, episode 32. It's season 1. We don't know what we're doing. We're
Don't know.
covering Formula
Well,
One. There's no way.
Do we yet?
No, no, but back then we definitely didn't. There's no way that on our 30-second episode that we were going to be speaking to one of how many is it now? What did Lando become
35.
world championship? 35. There's no way we would get to speak to one of 35 people that have been crowned world champion in this sport that we follow. That would never happen, would it, Brian?
That would never happen unless...
This is Jacques Villeneuve, and you're listening to the Dirty Side of the Track.
We're just going to spend a couple of minutes building up to, like we say, the backstory of how the heck did we end up with Jacques Villeneuve. Got to be honest, straight out of the gate and be super honest here, it's because Pit Lane Paul is an absolute rock star. When we first started this pod, I may have told this story on an earlier episode, was that I knew obviously he worked there, and when me and Brian decided we were going to start this, I sent the first episode to him and said, be gentle, but if you think we suck, let me know, because then I won't bother wasting my time. And he came back and said, I absolutely won't be gentle. You know me. If you're bleep, I'm going to tell you you're bleeping bleep. And he didn't. He came back and he enjoyed it, and he's been on a couple of shows where we've interviewed him. And off the back of that, he teased that he might have other folk that he could get on the show. And he teased Jacques' name probably back in about January. And myself and Brian were like, okay, but it's nice of him to say that, but it's never going to happen. And as it kept rolling, it would every now and again pop its head back up again, so much so that myself and Brian ended up buying Jacques Villeneuve's books. Yeah.
We read books, real books with
Real
words about
Not
people.
many pictures either.
I know. It was amazing. I didn't know they had that. It was like a video, but you read it.
And I actually thought the one that I bought, the paperback of Winning in Style, which is kind of his first year in F1. In fact, it doesn't even go on to the second. I think there's about 3 chapters that are kind of the first couple of races of the 97 one. Where it kind of ends and goes, oh, we'll see how this season goes. It's like, that's such a shame, because that was actually the year you won it. But right at the beginning, it feels like he's trolling you, because it basically says that he likes reading books, but he likes reading works of fiction because he doesn't understand why people would want to read books about other people. You're like, oh, is that a test? Do I stop reading now? But anyway, we read the book, we prepared,
Yeah.
and then it went quiet again, didn't it, Brian? It was
It went quiet. We didn't know what was happening, but Paul is a rock star, and so Pit Lane Paul, this is for you. So we prepared. We had a whole set of notes, and we actually. So again, the dirty side. Everyone who listens, I hope appreciates. We're just 2 fans, and we're talking with other fans, and we're all dirty siders here, fans of F1, and we prepared as though we're fans, because we're clearly not journalists. We've had a chance to interview a couple other people prior to this where we were a little nervous. But with books and with watching videos and preparing for an F1 world champion, we somehow wrote our own biography of questions. And we'd spent weeks going over this in meticulous detail. And Rob looks at it one day and says, "Oi, all we've done is written our own book about Jacques Villeneuve here, and we're about to interview him. This doesn't make sense." And so we had to pull back and kind of reassess. And you'll hear those nerves throughout the interview, especially from Robert as we start. But it's all in there in its glory, because we wanted you guys to hear it. It was the coolest thing, and I cannot thank Paul enough for making it happen. And of course, Jacques Villeneuve for making the time to do it. You are a rock star. You are a man amongst non-men. You are a champion of whatever. I don't know. You are handsome. Most people not so much. I don't know. Just tremendous. Thank you.
Although while Paul is a star, I'm going to blame my nerves on him a little bit, because in the week building up to it was Silverstone, and because my brain's a blur, it was Silverstone this happened over, wasn't it? It was that weekend.
Yeah, yes.
And in the week running up to it, we got a text. This might happen Saturday. Okay, great. So now we panic and we're getting ready for Saturday. And then in US time, my Saturday morning, it was just after quali, I think it was, and sent Paul a note. Is any idea when it might be happening? Yes, it might happen soon. Okay, when soon? Probably in the next 5 to 10 minutes. And that was when panic stations kicked in. And I sprint down to the room where I record this stuff, sent Brian a text. Oh my God, it's happening. We got on. We saw Paul. Paul was kind of there to kind of be a chaperone and make sure that Jacques didn't get himself in trouble, and just listened into the interview. And then all of a sudden, a third window opened up on the Zoom. And there we were, face to face with Jacques Villeneuve. And we're going to play the interview now. But what we're also going to hear is... I've left it in there. I said last week I could have edited my introduction out, but I haven't. My voice is all over the place, like my voice is just broken. And while we prepared the first line we wanted to say, which you'll hear in a second, I deliver, after that, we knew the topics we wanted to discuss, but I'd never understood how you might start a conversation with a world champion. And you'll hear now, it's fair to say I still don't, because what I do know what to do is blabber like an idiot for about 35 seconds and then throw Brian under the bus.
Yeah, well, thankfully I was there to get run over, but it was awesome. So now enjoy the Dirty Side interview with Jacques Villeneuve. All right, we are incredibly lucky to have one of the 34 people ever to win the Formula One World Championship with us. I know that's hard to believe.
Yeah, I'm. When we started this podcast, Brian, I never thought I was going to say the sentence I'm about to say. So here goes. Welcome to the Dirty Side of the Track, Jacques Villeneuve.
Oh, hi, guys. So one of 34, you said. I didn't even know it was just 34.
Yeah, that's all there's ever been. 34 of you guys, and it's we're extremely privileged to have you make some time for us. So unfortunately, that probably means I need to give a shout out to Paul for making it happen, but we'll try and keep any kudos to Paul to a minimum. But yeah, so what we just wanted to do was just really go over highs and lows of your career, really, for new listeners and listeners out there that might know a little bit about you from the Formula One world, but not necessarily know what you did before it, what you've done after it, what you've done since. Just have you talk us through basically all the best parts of the career. So we don't want to turn this into a biography and walk through every step of your life and just have you validate it. We want to turn it into a bit more of a chat, because we really aren't journalists and we don't know what we're doing. So yeah, where do you want to jump in, Brian?
Well, Jacques, one of the questions I have, and I don't know if this is accurate, but winning the Indy 500, is it true you did 2 extra laps with that whole pace car situation? So are you technically the only winner of the Indy 505?
Yes, it's true. Two laps just were taken out of my tally early in the race. So suddenly, instead of having done 50 laps, it went down to having done 48 laps. It's like, oh, okay. Because when the safety car came out, it was fueling time as well. And people had just gone in the pits. The team didn't realize I was in the lead. And because we were running out of fuel, like most everyone. So they were stressed. So we're still at speed. And when I got to the safety car, it didn't show me to stop. So at some point, the team told me, just go by it until it picks the leader. So I went by it. Second time by, I slowed down a bit, and then we're chatting with the team. Said, well, what happened? They didn't pick the leader up, and they didn't still realize I was in the lead. And I think the pace car didn't really know who the leader was either. So it's only by the third time I came behind it that someone put a hand out, say, hey, slow down. So, oh, okay, great, thanks. And then they opened the pits, and we just barely made it, but 2 laps were taken out.
So that's incredible. I mean, watching motorsport on TV, and watching, the board on the side of the TV screen and how many laps people, what lap people are on, the timing. I find it incredible that you ended up running 2 extra laps in the Indy 500 and still won. That's after the race, did you find this out? And what went through your mind about it then?
Oh no, it was great, because at that point I thought, okay, let's try and get a good results. We're looking after the championship, get some points for the championship. And by the end, I was running second on the last restart, and think, okay, well, I'll finish second again like the previous year. It was already a good result with the penalty we had. And at that point, it was just a question of putting pressure, psychological pressure on was Scott Goodyear ahead of me before the restart, so that he would make a mistake because he was quicker than me and I couldn't beat him on the track.
Amazing. I mean, that is like, I love hearing stories like that. By the way, winning the IndyCar championship that year, you are the fourth person. I love stats. I'm sorry. We do a thing on here called SAP stats. So I love stats. So in addition to the 34th, you're the fourth person to win both the IndyCar and F1 World Championships. Emerson Fittipaldi, Mario Andretti, Nigel Mansell, and you. So I just think that's an amazing group as well. And at the end, we're going to ask you a couple questions about, post F1. You seem Jim Clarkian in the way you can drive just about anything.
I did not know that until after Formula One.
Wow.
Because back then, or even now, you're made to believe that you can only drive one kind of car, and you end up believing it as well because that's all you've been driving. So it took me getting out of F1 and to try my hands at other type of cars to find out that actually there's a way to adapt to every form of driving. But that also when I was younger, I was doing some motocross, not racing for fun. I was ski racing, doing a lot of different sports that always teach you to find a way to adapt and use and for you to use the medium you have, whether it's a car, a motorbike, skis, whatever, to find a way to make them go faster and to go faster with a clock.
Well, and I'm sorry, just to follow up on that. So do you have like an inherent sense of speed, of smoothness, of finding that right balance where you're getting the most performance while not, whether it's in a turn, whether it's skiing, whatever, maybe not scrubbing off speed? What do you attribute that to?
I don't know. I think skiing helped a lot for that because obviously you don't have an engine to get you out of trouble. And then you have to find ways to pick speed up or to create speed. And you have a real feel through your feet, your body on how you're sliding, catching the edge. And that I found very useful then in cars. I always loved working the old fashioned way, engineer a piece of paper, closing my eyes and trying to feel the lap I was doing, the braking, the corners, and why or what to do to go faster. And sometimes just numbers with arrow look better on paper, but if you can't drive it naturally, you'll actually be slower.
Right.
And there's a million reasons why you have understeer or oversteer. So just telling the engineer I have understeer, it's not enough. Is it because the front is a little bit too stiff and it reacts too quick to your steering input, so then you go beyond it and you create the understeer? Or is it because the rear sits down? There's a million reasons for every problem that can happen on the car. And the trick is to be able to feel and visualize what is physically happening with the different parts of the car, the damping, the springs, to try and understand. Then in your mind, when you talk with your engineer, you do a little change and you try to imagine what it would do to your driving, how the car would react, and how you could drive around a problem, and how it would affect the entrance, middle, or where the issue is. Would you actually be quicker like this? And even if on paper, this should be slower because it takes a little bit longer for the grip to arrive, you can actually drive it better and you end up being quicker.
It's amazing to hear that from your side as well, because last week or the week before, we were lucky enough to speak to a guy that's an ex-Red Bull performance engineer. So he's done that other side of the conversation that you're talking about. And he was saying exactly the same thing. He said, the driver that can come in and articulate to me where they feel they're losing speed and why is a million times more helpful to me than the guy that just says, I've got understeer. Because it's factually correct, but it doesn't help me. So,
Sure. Well, hey, sometimes you even hear drivers come back in the pits and they say, "Oh, the car is shit. It's undrivable." That's not very helpful. The engineer has no idea what to do with that.
So, picking back up off the Indy 500, around that kind of time is when you made the leap over to Formula One. So, a couple of questions here. How did the Williams thing come about? And was it an instant yes, or that you just knew you needed to do it, or was it something that took you a while to decide if it was the right time, right place to make the move?
Oh, there was never any doubt in my mind. I grew up in Europe, and the goal was F1. IndyCar came about once I started racing. When I was in Japan, and I started racing a little bit in America. That's when I started, and mostly when Nigel went over the pond. That made it big. That was big news, and IndyCar was on the way up. It was huge, and it was amazing racing. I mean, the Indy 500 is the biggest race in the world. So to race there was very impressive, and it's that win that then gave me the test at Williams, because I guess it showed an attitude, not speed, because you can be fast on any kind of track, but that's a race with a huge amount of pressure. And then winning it, doing the 2 extra laps with all the extra pressure, I think opened the eyes of Frank Williams and Patrick Head and Bernie Ecclestone as well, who was very active in pushing for that test to happen.
You obviously had an amazing career throughout all of motorsport, but in '96, right, challenging Damon Hill as an F1 rookie was tremendous. And then '97, of course, your championship year. I have to ask a question for you about '97, and in particular, the championship decider. I don't understand how one person could manage this. So in quali, if I have this right, in quali at Jerez in '97, you had the same time to the thousandths with Michael behind you, and then your teammate Heinz-Harald Frentzen behind that. And so you walk in 1 point down to the race. If I have and I could be wrong, but you walk in 1 point down to the race for the World Championship, starting on pole with 2 people right behind you with the same times. How was it a normal day? Did you sleep at all the night before? Like what? How do you manage and then still have the focus to the point you just made about showing your medal in Indy? How do you do that?
It's probably one of the nights I slept the best before a race. But it's a little bit like Indy. I had to come back from a penalty with 2 laps down, so you get to become the underdog and you have nothing to lose. And it was the same thing in Jerez. I was 1 point behind. I had nothing to lose. At work, I would finish second, or I would win. It wasn't when you're in the lead. It's a little bit more difficult. It's not the same kind of pressure. You can stress about it. So it was great. The whole weekend just was with a very small amount of people. Just had dinner and didn't even talk about the race. So normal dinner, bed, and but the energy was crazy in the paddock. You could feel that it was not a normal day.
And I need to ask, when Michael turns in on you and you guys make that contact, after you leave that contact, are you on hyper alert now for any type of feedback in the steering wheel or anything? Was there ever a moment where you thought the car's done and you weren't going to be able to finish, or did you know you'd come straight off that contact and your car was in good order?
I came off the contact and I could feel the steering was straight, the car was in good order, but the jolt had been quite strong and the cars weren't as solid back then as they are now. So I was wondering if something had been fragilized. And because, you hit the brakes hard, you hit curbs. There's a lot of things that go into the car that if something has been slightly damaged that you don't feel, it will break at some point. At that point, I just started braking early, and by not hitting the brakes like a hammer, just gradually going on them. Same thing with the steering, avoiding the curbs. I ended up slowing down, not by much, but a bit, just to make sure I would reach the end. And it's a good thing I did, because the battery holder, which was in the side pod, had been broken by the contact, and the battery was moving around, only held by the electrical cables.
No way.
Should have fallen off. Yeah.
Wow.
So you won the championship, the F1 World Championship, with the battery hanging off just by cables, just by the electrical cables.
Yes, yes, which is crazy. And had I not slowed down, it would have probably come off.
Unbelievable. And so, and I know we're kind of hopping around here, but it's just so fantastic getting these insights. When that happens, and Schumacher had done it 3 years prior on Damon, right? I think in '94, if I remember right. When he does that to you, I mean, I watched the video a million times. You're clearly, and as you said, you're on the grass. You're kind of in the corner. Like, do you just think, what the hell is this guy doing? Or do you not even think about it and go, I just got to finish my race? Like how do you process that? I would have been furious.
We were all expecting it. I was just surprised when I got next to him. The key to overtaking him was to surprise him so he wouldn't see it coming, and to do a dive from quite far behind. So that's why he had a late reaction to it. But having seen it happen the years before, it was expected. It wasn't a surprise.
So when we spoke to Paul, and he kind of came on and took us through that amazing Brawn GP year, and we kind of asked him, what was it like when you guys had won the title? And he says, I honestly can't tell you. He said, I know I celebrated like crazy, but my brain is just, whether it's total euphoria or whatever it is, I can't remember the moment we won the title.
what about you? When you crossed that got the checkered flag, and you're world champion, do you remember? Is it all a blur all the way back to the pit lane? Were you able to absorb and enjoy the kind of the cool down lap? I mean, what happens from the moment that flag waves and you're now the world champion of F1?
Oh, I was exuberant. But it's easy to remember because there's been so many pictures and videos that somehow it refreshes your memory, and you don't know if the memory is a real memory or because you've seen it on pictures, so your brain just takes it as a memory. But it was great. I remember driving down the pit lane and the mechanics even from other team were their fists like congratulations and huge grins and smiles. It was a very euphoric moment. And then older Renault engine engineers were wearing a yellow wig because I was blonde at the time, which was also great. And then both Coulthard and Hackden putting me on their shoulders on the podium. That was cool.
I love watching that. So
I don't know how they did it.
I've only seen it when you're on their shoulders. I've watched it, and you're up there celebrating. And the blonde hair, you mentioned the blonde hair, and you kind of had like I don't want to say baggier fire suit, like a more comfortable fire suit, and your clothing was very hip, and it was great. You were one of the big reasons I love F1, just watching someone who felt like I could relate to, who was having fun.
It was good because I was always allowed to be myself and to not think too much about that aspect, and it was accepted for some reason. It's just the way it was, and then I guess when you win, you're kind of allowed to do whatever you want, and you're allowed to be yourself. It's when you stop winning that it doesn't work that well.
Well, one question, I guess, especially for our listeners, we have a good mix, Jacques, of sort of new and long tenured fans of F1, and so the Dirty Siders kind of enjoy hearing a little bit of the inside aspect. So when you're in F1, regardless of which season it may be, when you're there, like, what are some of the things people don't appreciate? What are some of the things a fan watching from the outside doesn't know or doesn't appreciate of being an F1 driver? Like, are there a couple things that stand out to you that said, man, people really don't get this?
Well, all that is seen is the jet set and race day, and it's fun and loads of fans. It's changed a bit because now drivers do simulator instead of testing, because we used to have testing in between every race. So the amount of time and energy and work put by teams, drivers, mainly mechanics, it's huge. It's so much more than is seen. And what's amazing is how tired you are at the end of the year, just mentally exhausted. Now with the long seasons, it drags on, and it's tough. But that is not something that is seen. It's easy to see the Sunday, the glamour, the race, and the excitement. But I guess it's a little bit like golfing also for the drivers. Is normally you'll have a lot of bad holes, and it's very frustrating, and you hate the game, and then you'll have one good hit, like one good race, one good lap, and it reminds you why you love the sport so much.
You mentioned that the guys use the simulators these days. Now, in preparation for this, I actually read your Winning in Style book, right? And in there, you talk about how you learnt some of the tracks by playing video games, right? Now, this is mid-90s. I remember, like, my Sega Mega Drive, the graphics were not fantastic, although maybe the PlayStation had come out. What were you playing back then that was going to give you some insight to tracks?
Well, it was Grand Prix by Jeff Crawford, I think. What was it? Yeah, I think. Yeah, Grand Prix, the game Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I think I was playing it on, well, it must have been on a PC. I don't remember exactly now, but it was mainly, they were quite accurate, and for the time it was great. And it wasn't to learn how to drive. It was to have a memory of what corner was coming.
Right.
After the hill, is it the left or right-hander? So your brain already knows what to expect. That's it. So you do 5 or 10 laps in the game just to have a memory of the course. And then that's it. And then you actually learn the track on the track. So it wasn't full-on preparation like they do now. But that was very useful for tracks like Spa, that high speed and long tracks. And back then we didn't do the walk with the engineers and the team. That's been a very modern thing around the track. But walking Spa, you don't have the speed, so you don't really remember what's coming. So that was the reason the reason for doing that. But I was always a gamer, so it was easy. It just gave me the excuse to play a little bit.
And talking of Spa, I mean, there's two sections where you describe laps around circuits. One is kind of Monaco, where actually makes it sound like really you didn't enjoy Monaco that much, not as much as probably everyone else watching in did. But the one that you did, that you could almost feel the kind of just the raw excitement as you're describing it in the book, is Spa. And lots of drivers say this. So is that out of all of Formula One, would that rank as one of your favourite tracks to drive on? And if not, which one is?
It depends on which car. If you look at F1 now, Eau Rouge is easy flat. It's not a corner anymore, but it's still dangerous, but it's not difficult to drive. Blanchimont is easy, and Pouhon I've seen it flat as well. So it removes a little bit of the excitement of what Spa was. So it depends. And same thing happened with Suzuka, which is the other great track. And these are the kind of tracks where I was always somehow quick. Always beat my teammates on those tracks by margin. Tracks like this are like Elkhart Lake or Road America in the States. And some tracks just come naturally to you. I guess that comes also from skiing. They're more similar to downhill skiing than slalom, and that's always what I preferred when I was skiing. And they're tracks that gives you a feeling of going somewhere. There's a hill, there's a mountain, there's a reason for a corner. It's not just, let's put the corner here so there's more corners. Monaco actually was amazing to drive. It's just the weekend that was hell, because you didn't have any space to work. You couldn't sleep at night because everyone was partying until 6 a.m. So it just made the weekend hectic outside of the car. Once you got in the car and driving in between the guardrails, that was bliss. That was crazy.
When you were in one of the craziest races that I can remember, the 96 Monaco race, where I think 3 people actually crossed the finish line. And if I remember right, I think
3 or 4.
Yeah, and then Badour, I think, hit you kind of into. It was. I was reading about it, 6 laps behind you, and somehow he was 6 laps down, and took you out in a crash. But what was that like? I mean, like, did all the drivers look at each other afterwards and be like, "What just happened?" I mean, like, how do you end up having 4 cars?
Yeah, well, that Badour moment was frustrating. He was 6 laps down, and I was lapping him, and he just back then the blue flags weren't as enforced as today, and he just turned in anyway. Didn't pay attention, didn't care. Which I wasn't going to win the race with Damon in front, but then he blew up, so it could have gone my way. Who knows? But it just things kept happening, and I think Irvine took 4 cars off because he spun, and when he decided to put himself straight on the track was then cars were coming and they just ran into him, or it was just crazy. But that's how Monaco always used to be. A lot of action, a lot of cars failing down, drivers making mistakes, getting tired. That doesn't happen anymore.
And talking about things happening, obviously the flip side of great control of speed is when you lose control. And you've had a few. I was Googling and looking at a few of the crashes, and I just wanted to know, okay, there's one thing being in control in the tight guardrails against Monaco, I guess, and the thrill of everything whizzing past you. When you are that split second when you now know you're out of control and you're 180 miles per hour, what the heck goes through your brain at that point?
Well, the first thing is, you think, okay, this is going to hurt, but that's just before you hit the wall. But the first thing you do is you try to look in the mirrors, look around, see how you're going to hit, if you're going to hit something, if you can spin and recover it. So you always look in your mirrors, try to get your bearings, your 3D space awareness, to see if there's a way for you to salvage the situation. The lap time is gone, but you might be able to salvage the situation, not crash, not damage the car. That doesn't last very long. And then when that is gone, you think, this will be painful, and you just brace yourself.
Because it looks to be that the ones that are most spectacular for TV are the ones where you end up going in sideways and maybe rubbing across barriers and debris goes everywhere, but they don't look as... I think the one in France, you went straight into a set of tyres, like straight head on. There's no spinning, no debris, and I guess that's got to be the one that is the driver's nightmare, because nothing else is taking the force of the car off, right? The spectacular ones look great, but they look less, says the man who's never driven a Formula One car.
That's generally true, unless you take Grosjean in Bahrain. That one was painful, but generally, yeah, when you have pieces everywhere, something was absorbed somewhere along the line. And when you don't see pieces and the car just stops dead, then the G-force that the body takes is that's the one that's big. F1 cars have become almost too solid now. Even the suspensions, because they bang sometimes walls with their suspensions and nothing breaks. And we've seen that in Miami this year, where two cars hit the wall in the slope speed corner, and actually they felt a big jolt and they weren't even going fast. So it looks like not a lot of absorption happens.
One of the questions I have, I guess, last one on the crashing.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
The key also, when you crash, the key to get as little hurt as possible is to have a good seat, to spend time in the factory making sure that the seat is holding you properly, all around the ribs, all around, just not something that's flimsy. And same thing, where your knees go, where your feet go. That's why 96, when I got there, we put some flags on the side of the pedals to hold the feet in place, and same thing with the heels. And now everybody's got them, and little pads on the side of the cars, because, and sometimes some mechanics will get upset because it becomes annoying after 2 days of just changing a little bit of this and that just to make the car safer, and they think, oh, you're scared. And no, because ultimately you break a finger, you will miss a month of racing also. So it's not just because of the damage. So there's a good reason to do that, and the chances of you getting hurt are less as well.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that the way that the seat is set up can help with that. That's amazing. I hate to ask this question, but I'm going to do it anyway. Across all of your time racing, and across all of the different cars you've raced, what is your most painful or worst crash where you look back and say, God, that was a nasty one?
I don't know, because I the first one I had an IndyCar. I cut another car in half in Phoenix on the ovals. That one was painful. I've had a few painful ones. The one that hurt for a while was I hit the wall in Michigan. The suspension failed and went straight into the wall at 230 miles an hour. And it wasn't a soft wall back then. And to get me out of the car, they had to cut the monocoque, because the where the shoulder is, the monocoque had opened up, and the race got stuck in the carbon fiber of the car when it closed back. So then my shoulder was painful as well at that point. The crash in Australia at BAR, that one, yeah, I thought I was gone on that one.
Ooh. Talking to BAR, so that was, it gets written as this is kind of you try and take a new team and take it to the top. Was that your outlook going in, and kind of how do you look back at that BAR period? Because you just come off as being a world champion, and here you are now, a brand new car, and I think there was maybe lots of expectations, lots of buzz. Kind of talk us through that kind of moving from Williams to the BAR and how that went. Well,
Williams wasn't keeping me after 98 anyway. So a lot of people ask me, why did you leave Williams? Well, there was not a seat available there. That wasn't Williams' way to keep their champions anyway. And it started with Craig's idea of building a team, and I thought that was amazing. So at that point, I put all the money I had earned into it, and I was a third of the team was mine, basically. So it was my team that I built. A lot of people say, "Oh, you just went and drove there for the money." And actually, I put my money in there, and I built that team with Craig. So, and that team today is Mercedes. So it wasn't still the same factory. There's still some people that we put in place there that are working there, and it's been extremely successful. So it wasn't a bad plan. And if you look at the first season, the car was breaking down a lot, but we often qualified at front, finished 8th when the car wasn't breaking down, and we were destroyed and blasted, and people were say we were embarrassing. But when someone finishes top 10 now, they're applauded. They're like, "Oh wow, you're so amazing!" So it's crazy the perception how we were destroyed compared to how we would be perceived today in the same situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're right. When the car worked, it was good, and a lot of people always talk about how the main thing around F1 is that reliability, and I guess that's the thing you can't just have a magic bullet for and tell the engineers and the people at the factory, go make it reliable. It's just not that easy to do, right?
There were a lot of issues with that car. Renault had stopped being an official manufacturer, and the engine that carried on was vibrated a lot, and the car was fragile, and the vibrations kept breaking parts on the car. lost the rear wing, suspension were failing. It was crazy, but the car was quick. It was difficult to drive. It was sliding a lot, but it was neutral, so it suited my way of driving. I could slide it around, and with that, we managed to do some good races. Barcelona, Imola, Australia were top six, but then the car was breaking down, and back then only top six were scoring points.
True.
So, just looking at an amazing career as you left F1, you've run in so many other cars and so many other series. What's been your favorite thing that you've done since F1? Because, watching this year, you qualifying and then running in Daytona was amazing. So I'm just curious, like, where have you found the most fun over the last, handful of years?
Well, I've had the blast in NASCAR. The racing is fun. When you're in a pack. Daytona is one thing, but road racing, when I was doing the races in Montreal or Elkhart Lake, you're always leaning on each other. It's different than Europe. It's not that you'll get a penalty. You do something to someone, then that someone will do it back to you, like the way it used to be in racing. That builds respect. And the racing itself, qualifying is okay because the cars aren't as fast as F1, obviously, but it's the racing, 40 cars on the track, all in a big group. It's like a river flowing around the track, and you just have to find your way. And I found that amazing. It's been exciting. Other form of racing, I thought ice racing was quite cool. When you arrive in the corner and you're already backwards 30 meters before the corner, and you accelerate to slow down or to brake, and you have wipers on the side windows. It's really, really different.
Do you really have wipers on the side window, so as you're going sideways, you can see that direction?
On the ice racing, it's only in France it's like this, yes, because the rear wheels are also steering. So you steer yourself before the corners. It's really a weird, but it was a lot of fun. Those years.
Amazing. Recognizing we want to keep the time tight. One thing I would like to know, kind of the last topic we have, is current F1. When you look at F1 today, 2022, and you look at whether it's the new regulations for closer following, or whether it's the kind of way the sport is turning into a business, which is fine, but it is. I guess I'd love your thoughts, or a thought on what is the one thing you would change in today's F1 that you think could be better. What's the one thing that kind of you look at as a world champion and say, boy, that would be better if it were this?
Well, I don't know. The cars are a little bit too heavy, basically. And I would open the tire manufacturers.
Oh, really?
Like you used to, definitely, so that there's a proper battle and a push. What else? I love the sprint race weekends.
Okay.
It doesn't give a better Saturday, but it gives a better Friday. So overall, it gives a better 3 days, which is good. Mostly when you have rainy days, like Friday, not a lot of driving happened. With the sprint race weekend, like Imola or wherever you're at, then there's a lot happening thanks to the sprint race. So I think that's not it's quite a good way, and it's good when weekends are different. You could have some longer races, some shorter. It's just that it changes, not that it's the same every weekend in and weekend out, basically.
All right.
And go back to testing. Remove the simulators and go back to testing. But it's good for the fans to see the cars while they're testing. Nobody goes and watch a simulator, and it's as expensive anyway. And not every driver can use a simulator. I know it would be very difficult for me. I've tried a home simulator with the mask and all that. I think I did 3 braking zones before I was ready to puke. And I understood why. It's because with the driving, when you brake, and it's visually all realistic, your brain expects negative G-force. You're in the simulator, you hit the brakes, everything happens as if you should receive negative G-force, and you don't. And that's what makes you sick.
Right.
Like being in a very awful roller coaster, or and that's not something and that I could cope with. But if you don't have that inner ear thing, I guess it's better for the simulator, but worse for the real racing. And after speaking with some engineers, a lot have been telling me that you can make a very good simulator race driver, but if he becomes super good on the simulator, normally he loses a little bit on the real driving as well. There is a small difference. So you also have to be careful with all that. I would also remove the parc fermé. Now you have a budget cap anyway, so why have a parc fermé? There's no
let them make changes throughout the weekend if they need
yeah,
to.
they have the budget to spend all year, so just do it. And we need some proper regulations of what the penalty is for going beyond the budget cap, because right now they can do a million things, but who knows what will actually be the penalty taken out of the box.
Right. I mean, everyone keeps saying all these different teams are getting close to their caps, and then different teams start arguing they need to raise the cap. But if you said at the beginning of the year, and teams shouldn't be penalized for hitting it, the ones who can't hit it should be penalized. And like you said,
they know how much
what is the penalty?
Spend. It's as if they've decided from the start that they would go past it anyway and then argue.
Yeah, I don't.
But also because there's no clear penalty. It could be a financial penalty, then who cares?
Right.
It could be a few points, okay. But it could also be exclusion from the championship. But which one will it be? Who knows? It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine the decision of excluding a team if they've gone beyond 1 million, 10 million. How does it work? I think the best penalty would be if you overspend by 1 million, you have to give 1 million to every other team in the grid, and they're allowed to spend that million even if it goes beyond their cap and so on. So if the top teams all spent 10 millions more, they would be spending 100 millions more, and all the smaller teams would get all that money. Then okay, that would balance it out. That would be fun. That would be fair.
I like that, kind of like a luxury tax that you see in some sports, but then shared with the other teams. That would be
and it's your decision for having overspent.
Right.
So then your own culprit.
Well, we have. Sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to cut you off. We were running out of time.
I was going to say, I'm looking at the clock, and I know, and we could be considerably more greedy and keep going, but we know we have to be respectful of your time, and it's been absolutely amazing to have you on. I still can't believe this is actually happening. Maybe a bit like you said about watching the TV pictures of your championship, it'll help refresh the memory that this really did happen. So
for us, yeah.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been amazing.
No, thank you. This was fun. It isn't always. This was fun.
well, actually, could we? Are we going to do the 100 seconds, Rob?
I think we're coming up to 35 minutes now, so I think we're pretty much capped out.
We will sign off. Jacques, thank you so very much. This is like mind blowing, and the time you shared with us, the insights to things that we wouldn't appreciate, and I think the listeners will appreciate hearing some of those things. Just tremendous, and just wanted to say thank you so much for the time and the generosity of sharing your opinions with us.
Thank you, and have fun.
We are still buzzing from that. And I walked away with so much, and I was kind of teasing this on Twitter. Holy cow, the championship decider, 97, the battery is loose after Schumacher hits him, and they find it, and it's just hanging on by the leads. And had it come out, he doesn't win the race, he doesn't finish the race, he doesn't win the championship. What? Like, what? And I still don't understand this, right? So he qualifies with the exact same time as Schumacher behind him to the thousandths, and we'll get into that a tiny bit more, some SAP stats here in a second. And then Heinz-Harald Frentzen, his teammate at Williams, and he just sleeps fine.
It was the best night's sleep I'd had. I was like, what?
What?
I mean, I googled the battery story afterwards because I'd never heard that, and I think the press and everybody I did find it. He has done, obviously, unfortunately, this isn't a Dirty Side exclusive. I did find it on a couple of other interviews that he's done, but it's not a question that he gets asked a lot, I think. He gets asked a lot more about the crash and the attempted takeout by Schumacher, and then the after bit, and by the way, you then got home and won the title. I don't think people asked him about so much. So I think it was quite cool hearing his, I'm lifting off, I'm slowing down, I'm hoping that nothing's broken. That was super cool. What was also super cool, and why we kind of included it on the artwork, was why anybody might be wondering why on earth there was a skier in the middle of the artwork that we did for this, was because that whole thing about his appreciation for speed coming from skiing, I thought that was pretty cool as well.
Amazing. And as I kind of mentioned in there, Niki Lauda would always talk about his ability to feel the car, and Jim Clark could drive anything. Fangio was a mechanic. Speaking about some of these all-time greats, hearing Jacques talk about the skiing aspect and his appreciation for building, maintaining, and kind of keeping speed through corners and turns, that smoothness, tremendous. And then the seat thing, how I didn't know. I mean, to me, I always hear about the seat fitting, and I'm like, yeah, because it's a small car, and they make the little thing so your butt's off, tiny bit off the chassis, and you're tight in there, and it holds you in. Oh my God, I had no appreciation for how important that seat is and what it can actually do and help save you in some of those situations. I just didn't think of that. Did you?
No. And I mean, the other thing, and I hope it came across in the audio because we had the visual aspect to it, but when he rubbed the bridge of his nose and kind of was almost going back to that moment where he told us about the crash when he thought he was almost done for, you can kind of see that memory is still pretty, super real because his face, I mean, it was kind of like... yeah, man. But I thought it was cool to get inside the what happens during a crash. That was really... I liked that part as well, so...
Yeah.
I mean, it was just... We could go on and we could repeat the entire 35 minutes, to be honest, because we ran out of time. We'd have loved to have done the DRS, but he told us we could probably have about half an hour. He was going to dinner, and we managed to get 35 from him. So, again, thank you very much, Jacques, for coming on and doing it. It was just...
so cool.
It's just amazing. I don't think I've ever been starstruck in my life before, but that was insane.
Well, now we're throwing down the gauntlet to any other F1 world champions who want to try their hand at being with the dirty side. Come check it out. Or current drivers or former drivers. You're always welcome.
Any major celebrity now, because we've got it down. We will be totally cool next time.
Yeah. For sure, no. But we do have some stats to close out. You should be proud of me, Dirty Siders. I held back on doing too many stats. Obviously.
Well, hang on. Before you move into this, so myself and Brian had this conversation. Brian wanted to hit Jacques with a whole bunch of SAP stats in the interview, and I was like,
when we were doing the biographical research, I was all ready to go.
You want to burn this small amount of time. You want to just go through a whole bunch of you won X number of races. You want to tell him all the things that he knows he probably achieved. Let's not do that.
Yeah. I mean, on second thought, it was a good idea to take it out, but at first thought,
but you
it was a
can
good
do it
idea
now, Brian, because your research is not wasted.
All right. Well, here we go. SAP Stats 1997 F1 World Champion Jacques Villeneuve Interview Edition. All right. So, some things that I thought were amazing. I obviously already mentioned the 34th person to ever win the F1 World Championship.
Which he didn't know, which I love the fact we taught him something.
No, I did. SAP Stats.
Okay,
not Rob Stats. And so, anyway.
This whole episode is going down as a Vale's tale. Who have you interviewed on SAP Stats? Yeah, come on.
Me, myself, and I. So Jacques was the fourth man to ever take pole in their debut F1 race, Australia 96. So Andretti, Carlos Reutemann, Jacques Villeneuve, but then some people only say three. The fourth was, of course, Farina in 1950 in the first ever F1 race. So someone had to take pole in the first ever race. So some people will say three. The answer is actually four. The qualifying we mentioned, the 91 title decider, I'd seen it out of context. I'd seen that happen before on F1 videos, and I'd always forgotten that was at Jerez for the 97 championship. But as I mentioned, the time was 1 minute, 21 seconds, .072. So to the thousandths, Jacques had it first, Michael Schumacher second, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, as I mentioned, third. So that was the grid order. He's the fourth person to ever win both IndyCar and F1 World Championships. I mentioned that, Emerson Fittipaldi, Mario Andretti, Nigel Mansell. He was in F1 for 10 years, had 11 wins, 23 podiums, 13 poles, and a driver's championship in 97. We talked a little bit, and I love this stat, and I love his story about the Indy 500, but he's the only person to ever win the Indy 505. And the last one, this is the mind-bending one for you. At the end of the 97 season, the point difference between Jacques and Michael was 3 points. Jacques obviously won. But they never shared a podium over the 17 races. How does that happen? The two people who are neck and neck for the championship never shared a podium that season. So anyway, I thought that was fascinating. And those are my SAP stats.
Yeah, that was a big SAP stat to finish on there, Brian.
I prepared. That's why I wanted to read them to the man until you said, hang on a second, that doesn't make sense.
Write him a letter. You can become pen pals.
Yeah, I can do that too. If I'm reading books now, I might as well be writing stuff too, apparently. All right.
Okay.
Closing the door on our highlight of that amazing interview. Next week is a race. Back to Rouy-Keek. Here we go with the French GP at Circuit Paul Ricard. Rob, I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about it because, if I'm being completely honest, it's like one of my least favorite circuits. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
This is the opinion part of the episode. I don't like it.
I don't know why, and it could be just something that's lodged in my brain, but for some reason I always thought Mangi was a better track. Now, it might not have been, but I've never enjoyed this one either. So maybe we're both going to get a pleasant surprise. So this weekend they will run 53 laps of our favorite track.
And it is, by the way, we mentioned tracks for next year. I believe they don't have a contract yet for next year. It's one of the 5 or so races on this year's that don't have a contract for 23, and I'm not crying for Circuit Paul Ricard, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just concrete. It's just a big... They went to somewhere in the middle of nowhere in the south of France, and near an airport, and they concreted over a bunch of land, and then they made a track out of the concrete, and then they took the rest of the concrete and painted the French flag colors as stripes around it, so that every time you watch it, you want to vomit as the cameras pan left and right. And maybe that's my own cones and rods not working in my eyeballs, but the stripes, my God, who thought that was a good move?
It's kind of like when you see one of those news anchors wearing a striped shirt and the camera kind of gets all fuzzy and doesn't know what to do with the stripes. It's kind of... No, I'm with you on this one. You do get some kind of stripe issues, but it's been on the calendar since 1971, but not frequently. I think it's 17 races that we've had there, right? Since...
Yep.
And there's a lot more than 17 years since 1971. So
Look at you with the math.
Look at me with the math, yeah. Ooh, that's number wang. Okay, let's some stats there, you've done on previous ones. Do you want to go through this?
Yeah,
this
I'll
is
just
your
close
area,
it.
right?
I'll close it quickly on the stats about Paul Ricard. So 11 times that drivers won from first, 2 times from second, 2 times from fourth, and 2 times from fifth. So no third place grid sitter has ever won the GP there. And the most wins ever at 4, fittingly, is Alain Prost. So it's kind of cool. I love when a countryman wins in their place. I mean, I love that. So bang on for there. Nigel and Lewis have 2. The most other than that is 1 wins, and the only other current driver with a win there is Max. So there you go, Paul Ricard. I'm excited racing's back, and I'll be watching glued to the TV with my barf bag as they pan around those stripes.
Yeah, I mean, other than the stripes, every circuit that I've not loved as much so far this year has actually been better with the new cars.
Yes.
So I was down on Austria. I was saying how, last year we had to go and suffer twice in a row because it was such a poor race.
Great
and then
race.
boom, amazing race this year. So who knows? Other than the stripes, then maybe this one can serve up a good race. I'll just be glad to have it back because it's, although it's great to have an empty week so we could slot the interview in, nothing like watching the cars go around, right? So
Nope, nothing. Excited to have them back. And we're excited you guys are listening and part of the Dirty Side family. Check us out every Sunday, obviously, as we have race reviews, great Vales, Tales, and other stories. We are all about celebrating Formula One and the love and the respect of Formula One itself, and we love having you guys as part of the Dirty Side. So from me, I would just say thanks for listening. Thanks for listening this week, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. Rob, close us out, my friend.
Yeah, I would just again echo that. Thanks for listening. We are slowly but steadily ticking upwards, which makes our brains hurt. So if you enjoyed this one, then please share it. We don't want our interview with Jacques to be also our greatest secret never to be told. So spread the love, get it out there, help the Dirty Side grow and be part of it. And we will catch you next week. Until then, guys.